Hello there, Alan Plum here again with a little more from Shed Engineering and the continuation of our N-gauge model folding railway. When I first started using the foam and it puffed up into irregular shapes, I tried painting them to look like trees, but wasn't totally happy. I knew I could improve on that, and so I've been experimenting with some textured paint and paste, and this first section is how I went about that. We start off with just a foam armature as a demonstration. That's been given a coat of PVA, and this is what we end up with. So it's just PVA glue, similar amount of filler, and then I've raided the spice rack and got some sage, dried parsley. I think there are a few other little bits. Just something to give texture. You could easily use sawdust, something like that. And also some green emulsion paint, which gives me just a background basic colour. Then, as you can see, I'm trying to add different coloured greens. Perhaps I should have a better selection than that, but as I say, this is just a demonstration, and it's relatively simple. You simply just picking up little blobs, putting a blob on, and trying to just leave a natural gap in between, altering the colour a little bit, adding another blob, pressing it into place, and just keep working round. Now, I went to the model shop this afternoon and to buy a bag of armatures and a couple of different bags of foliage, flock and fibre, etc. I could have easily spent £35 or so. So there's one advantage here, it's relatively cheap. Anything with a texture, a bit of filler and PVA, and you can virtually make a start. And the other thing about this method, it's surprisingly durable, as I'll demonstrate in a minute. Obviously it can be a bit tedious, but I think there's a great deal of satisfaction when you consider that each tree has actually been sculpted in this manner. Obviously the trunk there is only for me on this demonstration. You could easily cut that off and put a piece of dowel up inside to actually mount it. So now we're getting somewhere near being finished. Unfortunately, I've run out of mixture and couldn't do the back side, but that gives you some idea of how it turns out. It took a couple of days to fully dry, and that's just a comparison with some fibre to show the foliage effect. There you have a close-up of the trees that I've painted. Again, there's a ball of fibre there just to give a comparison. There are two areas just there that are just foam, just there and just there. Two pieces that I actually missed from texturing. And here's the little tree that we demonstrated on, and that could quite easily fit in just there. I say you've got to try and ignore the trunk, but that just shows you makes it easier to pick out basically. Now what surprised me was its absolute durability. I know it took a couple of days to dry, but this is incredible. Now I'm not having a go at other kinds of traditional foliage or bushes. I think some of them look absolutely fantastic. But as you can see, this gives another possibility that is relatively economic, and by the looks of that experiment and demonstration, very, very durable. And as you can see, there's no visible damage at all. But have we actually got anything done to the layout? Well, yes, we've progressed a little bit. For a start off, I extended the bus wire. The bus wire is explained in a previous video. I'm just extending it another couple of foot up towards the folding area. So that was extending the live. I'm just tinning the negative. And soldering that together. I'm not bothering to insulate them. I'm just making sure that they're well out of the way of each other. I'll explain that in a moment. So here I'm just putting a couple of extra droppers in. This area will be covered with scenery. So first of all, just drill your holes, 4 holes by the side of the track. I actually leave the sawdust. I don't blow that away if I can help it. It shows me where the holes are, especially with eyesight as bad as mine. I use a very, very small drill so that the dropper wire is a nice snug fit. Feed the dropper wire through, bend it over towards the track, and then as you pull it through, it's quite a nice snug fit with the hole being quite small. I'm doing both the live droppers first. In my case, the live is on the outside of the circuit. And there I'm just touching the dropper with the soldering iron. Little bit of solder, job done. And then sliding insulation onto those 2 droppers. So that's one bit of red insulation and the other bit going on. I've then got just a piece of wood that has been sanded down to something like a big skewer that will separate the bus wire. The little insulation cutters that I made out of a pair of nail scissors to cut the insulation. Take that off with the Stanley knife. Again, this is covered in more detail in a previous video, but for anybody just dropping in and seeing the videos for the first time, they might be interested. So then I've brought the two red droppers up, wrapped them around the bus wire, squeezed them tight with the pliers, and then I'm just soldering them to live droppers onto the live bus wire. Then I've just cut two pieces of cardboard, same as the last two sections. Again, reasonably quick to do this. You can just lay the cardboard over underneath with a pencil to get a rough idea. It only takes a few minutes to cut the cardboard and glue it in place with a hot gun. A good shake with the expanding foam. Get that whacked on. And there you can see the bus wire and droppers. As I say, they're not insulated. I'm making sure that they're well apart from each other, and because both the droppers and bus wire are quite a thick gauge, they're pretty stiff in themselves, and I can't imagine them ever moving, but they'll be completely embedded in the expanding foam, so I can't see that they will ever move around, and hopefully they will be pretty reliable. And that's a view from the front of the layout, just filling up under the embankment. Now what we got here, Trains for You Limited in Peterborough. That's my local model shop. Very, very obliging. You can ask them anything, they're very, very helpful. Spent a total of £36.20. And what did I get for my money, basically? This just gives people some idea. This is a little second-hand open wagon. That was £4. A little box van or fruit van, again second-hand. That was also £4. I got some plastic wheels, some track pins, some stiles and gates, some more wheels. A tunnel portal, £4.50. And then here I got some dry stone walling. Now it's very nice, but look at the ridiculous price. £9.60. Now I know it's very nice, but I mean you only get 3 straight pieces, a broken down piece and 2 curves. So you don't get a lot. Now admittedly it's very, very nice, but is it any good for my landscape? How the heck are you supposed to fit that? you've got to have like a cubist landscape for the dry stone walling to fit. Every hill has got to be right angles. So I set about with some air drying modelling clay. Now I've had this for years and years and years. I think the nature has gone out of it a little bit. I had to fiddle around and wet it a bit and roll it around. But I've just made a sausage. I've got the two straight pieces of dry stone walling that I bought, squeezed it together. Now I know that I'm going to end up with the dry stone walling. The mortar lines are going to be sticking out rather than being recessed. So I'm getting like a negative image rather than a positive image. But once this is painted, I defy anybody to actually be able to see that. So this is just the air dry clay after being squashed together between the two dry stone walls. I've just scrubbed it with a bit of grey paint. Got it a little bit dark there, but obviously you can retouch that up. And to be quite honest, that will bed in to any shape rather than that, which is a piece of dry stone walling that came in the kit. So there I'm just laying them alongside each other, see whether you can get a comparison. And to be quite honest, other than where I've overdone the black, I think that's pretty good. So here comes the 8:30 King's Cross to Manchester train. Well, hardly. But this is the little Ginty. Just having a little run before we start on something else. So now, just hack away a bit of this landscape. The filler that I put on carves away quite nicely. Obviously the foam underneath doesn't take any moving. There we've got the tunnel portal, and there's one that's been painted. Now don't start buying expensive flipping paints in these little pots. This is a dried up pot of emulsion paint that I mixed up with magnolia and a bit of something else. I think I was doing the track underlay. I couldn't find the top and it's dried up. But just a little bit on a card so you can control how much you've got on your brush. You could soon spend pounds and pounds and pounds on these little pots of paint, and I'm sure it's totally unnecessary. If you're decorating and you get splashes of emulsion on your furniture or your plastic television or anything like that, it always sticks like shit. Sticks like you know what to you know what. So I see no reason why it can't be used on something like this. So just gradually build it up in a with a very dry brush. Little bit of black. Again, dry your brush out. Tiny little dabs. Just build up the soot effect. Over each line. And within, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, you've got something that's looking half respectable. So here's another little experiment, and that's hedges. Decorator's cork onto baking parchment, sprinkle with any textured material, dried sawdust, dried parsley, sage, thyme. Work it into the decorator's cork. Leave it to dry for a couple of days, and you've got some cheap and easy hedges that are very flexible. There you can see the dry stone wall made from the air-dried clay in the background. Sometimes the decorator's cork shows through, but that's easy enough to touch up with a few dabs of paint, and you can have a variety of hedges in a variety of different colours. So that's about it for this time. Thank you very much for all the subscribers, and thank you again for watching.